Hello and welcome to another episode of the Girls for Greatness podcast, my friends. This is your host, Delia Perry, and you are listening to episode number 169 with the amazing Laura Langsdorf. I am so thrilled to have Laura here today, and I am so thrilled to be talking all about her soon to be released book, Don't Pee in My Dating Pool. I just absolutely love that. Every time I say it, I can't wait to dive into this, Laura. Okay, so a little background, you guys, on Laura. Laura is the founder and president of Image Focus, which is a full-service marketing firm. Laura has decades of experience in the ever-evolving marketing world. She is a straight shooter offering expert counsel and forward-thinking business strategies, along with custom branding and marketing solutions focused on increasing sales and market share. And now Laura has applied her master skills to the dating world, creating a revolutionary platform for singles geared for success. She even has a comprehensive step-by-step planning workbook to go along with her book, as well as a dating app that are all in the works as well. I cannot wait for you guys to hear from Laura. I can't wait to dive into her story and to hear her wisdom. So with that, my friends, may I introduce you all to Laura Langsdorf. Laura, welcome to the Girls for Greatness podcast. So great to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to talk to you about this.
Yes.
And to be here with you and everybody.
I know. I'm so thrilled. This is so great. So just to give you guys a little background, I don't always give you the background as to how I kind of gotten to know my guests. I mean, a lot of them I've kind of met through social media, but Laura and I were introduced through a mutual tennis friend, and we happened to be able to meet for coffee since she is local to Toledo also, which is awesome. And just, had a great conversation about a lot of different things, but lo and behold, even when I went to go get my coffee, she kind of looked at me and was like, I've seen you before. So we actually had been on the court before. And then it dawned on me that, oh my gosh, yeah, I'd seen you before too. So it's kind of serendipitous, I feel like, for us to be now here
Small
talking.
world.
Exactly. So tell us, Laura, maybe just to start a little about your dating journey up until this point. Just kind of, I shouldn't even say dating. I'm going to say your relationship journey.
Thank you.
What has been your relationship journey from, let's even say 20 years ago up until this point?
Oh my gosh. So I was married for about 10 years and I got divorced in the early 2000s. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to meet my Prince Charming, like right out of the gate. And this is going to be easy peasy and, nothing to this. And oh my gosh, took me 20 years to find my guy. It literally was a compilation of the most crazy. Am I on candid camera? Is Ashton Kutcher somewhere? Like, am I getting punked? What is this? And I went online early in the 2000s when that was really kind of very new and taboo. It was like, my friends kept saying to me, are you desperate? What are you doing? Right. Most of my friends are still married, and I seemed to always be the odd guy out. And so it was difficult trying to explain to them that dating after, high school, college, or any of those type of things, the pool is just is a lot different. And a lot of people are already coupled up. And, so it was challenging.
Sure. Now, when you started dating again, were there apps? Because I don't know, were they first coming out?
Yes. So I got on Match.com. It was like one of the very first ones. And it was really kind of intimidating and scary because you didn't know where to find people. Everybody's like, don't find somebody in a bar, which inevitably you find people at a bar.
Right.
Anyway.
Right. It happens, right?
That's always something too. But anyway, but like I said, the beginning of the dating apps, I think everybody was kind of curious, but they weren't ready to just jump in because there was somewhat of a stigma attached. We're talking 20 years ago. It's not like today where everything's digital.
Right.
Everybody, it's all moved online. And so it's a different
thing.
Landscape, I guess. Yeah, definitely.
So did you feel like you just were like, okay, I'm divorced now. I'm just going to like see what's out there? Like I'm going to date a wide variety of people, or was it like you had in your mind, like, this is kind of what I'm looking for, but I don't really know. And I don't know how to find that person. And
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
because that would be really hard to navigate.
Yeah. Well, I thought that the person would find me. I just thought that I would walk into the grocery store and there he would be, and the vegetable aisle or something. I don't know. Maybe I watched too many Hallmark movies. It's Christmas time, it could work.
That's true. That's true. It's true.
So I really didn't have in mind what I was looking for or who I was looking for, which really kind of led me down the path. And I know we're going to talk about my workbook, but that really led me down the path to creating the workbook, because I didn't know what I was looking for. And I had no idea, I'm not somebody who has a type. But I guess I did kind of develop a type through the years of dating. I mean, 20 years, you kind of start figuring it out. But no, I didn't really have a type. And I think that that's kind of maybe what hurt me a little bit.
Sure.
Like I wasn't focused. I wasn't like, this is it,
Sure. So where did you meet your current husband?
So I met my current husband through a mutual friend.
Okay.
And it's kind of funny because our mutual friend, he's a triathlete, Ironman, like all this. And I said, you've got to have friends. And I've known him for years. I'm like, you've got to have some, you're out there all the time with guys. He's like, all my friends are sketch. And I'm like, oh.
What does that mean?
So, I know, like they're a little sketchy. I'm like, okay, well, and when he called me up, he goes, I think I have somebody for you. And I'm like, really? I thought you said they were all sketchy. What is this?
Right. But so that's how you met.
Yes, that's how we met. But I had dated, plenty of people that I had met online, and I had really good online experiences. And I'm still friends with a lot of the guys I dated. They just weren't my guy. They were nice guys, but they just weren't my guy. Like whether it was timing, and timing's a huge thing in life, or, just something just wasn't quite right for long term. But I was really good at vetting. I was really good at interviewing, even through the texting. I asked questions. I tried to get, deep. I didn't ask, direct type questions like, what do you do for a living or anything like that. They were more leading questions, more personality type questions. But by the time I met them, I pretty much knew who they were going to be. And I wasn't surprised very often. But I have to say, with the online dating, always leave breadcrumbs. Make sure a girlfriend or, family member or something knows where you're going. Safety is so important.
Sure.
So important.
I could definitely see that for sure.
Yeah.
So what led you to write the book? Like what moment were you like, I've really had this journey, and I think there are some women out there that would really benefit from my wisdom.
Yeah. Well, like 20 years ago, I was at a family reunion of all things, and I'm talking to one of my older cousins, and we were talking about the dating pool. And I said, it's kind of, shallow. I'm not quite sure what's going on. And it was so early in my dating journey. And he goes, I just hope nobody pees in your dating pool. And I was like, that's it. Thanks, Charlie.
Oh my gosh.
That's the name of the title of my book. And, of course I thought it would only have like maybe a couple years of experience. And then I got to 5, and then I got to a decade. And then I'm like 2 decades out. Okay. I found my guy, we've been together for 9 years now. So it's like, okay, I've been married for 3. But, the whole time I was thinking and adding chapters, and I would take notes on napkins at a coffee date when somebody left, or, write pieces and parts and just stuff them in a big manila envelope. So
that's awesome.
So I had notes, and there were times when I went back, when I finally sat down and said, I'm going to write this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot about this. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that. I'm like, did you really do that? You ding dong.
Wow. So it really was literally 20 years of you just thinking about it and thinking, or, planning it almost like in a way, because you're saving things, saving notes, saving ideas.
Yeah. And the book itself,
mm,
it's kind of interesting because I wouldn't really say that it's like, it's kind of a combination of a memoir, autobiography with some really good wisdom and nuggets. So it's not really like, I'm not coaching anybody, but I'm sharing my experience.
mm-hmm,
And some of the stuff was hilarious. Some of the stuff was just heart-wrenching.
mm-hmm.
But I went through the journey, and I am the person I
Wow.
am today because of everything I went through, because of everybody's life that touched me, every
Sure.
experience, all of that, because you always learn from
Sure.
somebody.
Right.
So, it's not
Right.
like, do this, do that, don't do this. It's not like that. It's like, I did this, maybe it wasn't the greatest thing,
Mm,
especially I think when it comes to the intimacy.
mm-hmm,
And I think
mm-hmm.
as women, we really beat ourselves up because of stigma. And, I've had people say to me, why are you putting all this out there? It's so personal. And I'm, especially with social media and all the trolls out there. And I said, nobody's going to beat me up more than I
Right.
beat myself up.
Right.
And I feel like women, that's what we do. We beat
Right.
ourselves up so much.
Sure. Sure. So are you talking about like just that piece in the dating, like navigating that and how to, because I know I have friends who are in that space now, and it is difficult. Because on one hand you want this, but on the other hand you have this and these responsibilities, and you're trying to,
Yeah.
gauge and say, well, this is still important to me,
Yeah.
even though people might say, well, don't do this or don't do that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think you've really got to trust your gut. And
hmm,
I think when you're dating, and this is what I really encourage people, is to think about the why. And that's really kind of why I wrote the workbook.
hmm,
Is, with all my marketing experience and things like that, it's like people don't figure out the why.
hmm,
Why are you dating? Are you dating for your happily ever after? Are you dating, for some camaraderie and companionship? Are you dating just, for company? Are you dating for sex?
right,
I mean,
right,
all of those reasons, and they can change over time. And honestly, they can change date by date sometimes.
right,
But I mean,
right,
we're all contemporary women, right?
right,
We can
right.
do what we want and own it. And, don't let
That's true.
anybody shame us. Like we shame ourselves enough. So,
Right, right. So from what I gathered from kind of looking at the workbook sample that you had sent me, which is amazing, you guys, I'm so excited for those of you that are interested in this to take a look at this when it comes out. But um, so one of the ideas that you've obviously kind of brought to light is treating dating like a business. So what do you mean by that?
going through all of this dating, it is so time consuming. So
Mm,
time consuming.
mm-hmm,
You're
mm-hmm.
online,
Right.
you're meeting people. I mean, it's really a full-time job sometimes. And I wondered, I'm sitting there saying, gosh, if I got more focused and more fine-tuned on why am I dating, what's my mission? I have that in my workbook. What's my
Right.
mission? And that's what
Right.
I would do in marketing. What's my mission? What am I trying to accomplish? That type of thing. And I think that really sorted through a lot of things. And it gave me a sound bite
Mm,
to tell my
mm,
friends and family, because they'd say, oh, you should do this. You should do that, blah, blah, blah.
sure.
And meanwhile, they're all married.
Right.
They don't know what it's
Right.
like out there. I'm
Right.
like, you know nothing.
Right. You're absolutely
Um,
right.
but it gave me that opportunity to say, okay, I'm dating because I want something long-term. I want that person, to the end, my happily ever
Mm-hmm.
after, or, I mean, you've been married for a while. So it's kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
the bumps, the
Mm-hmm.
bruises, but I want somebody with
Yeah.
me. And then I went through, what's my unique selling proposition? What makes me different than other
Mm,
partners, other
mm,
potential daters, what makes me different, what makes me unique. So you can really focus on those type of things. And then it's almost like you have a business plan,
mm.
it's like an actionable plan that you have. I take you through who you are, what you're looking for. With online, you have access to so many people all across the country now.
Right.
You know, and it's like, would I move or would I not move?
Sure.
If I wouldn't move, then why am I talking to somebody who's 2 hours away?
Right.
You know,
right.
Or, you know, if I don't want to get married and I just want to travel to Chicago or something, then great. You know, maybe I can meet somebody and have great weekends. You know, it's all about what you want, but being focused on that. Because like I said, it takes so much time, the resources, the money, the emotion, all of that. If I could save somebody any of that by just helping them get organized, get their thoughts organized, think about, you know, who, what, you know, where, you know, I have a budget section because it can be expensive. You know, if you're thinking about all the online apps, if you're thinking about, okay, well, if I do this activity, or if I join this organization, or, you know, I want to go to a concert, you know, all those things. So, you know, you want to make sure that you're not overextending yourself. And then your return on investment, you know, where is that? You know, so some of those, so some of those business things,
you've applied.
And I'll tell you, when I really sat down and got closer and closer every time to who I really was looking for, I had my notebook, you know, I had my legal pad, front and back covered columns. You know, this is the type of person I want. I want somebody who's funny. You know, I want somebody who's emotionally available, somebody who, you know, wants to get up and go do some things, or somebody who has empathy, all those type of things. And those are things that I wanted. And they weren't necessarily physical attributes. You know, there were some physical attributes, but, you know, I've learned height isn't really that big of a deal for me anymore. I'd rather have a good heart than, you know, somebody who's over 6 foot tall. I mean, I didn't distill people out because of that. And that's when I got closer and closer to the person that I'm with today, that I, you know, we have a great relationship. We still have our, you know,
of course,
bickering sessions, but
I get it. I get it. No, and I think you're exactly right. I think that, you know, that time piece, I think that's one of the things that I've heard the most is that, you know, from my friends that are in that world of, you know, just the fact that it can be so time consuming, and how do you start, and where's the best place to, you know, best use of my time, you know, especially when you put in factors and things like I have a career, I have kids, you know, I have all these other things. So that's really wise.
It's a lot. And like I said, you know, your resources, it's not just the money, it's the time, it's the investment. And then, you know, you're dating, and so many times I could just smack myself, but so many times I tried to fit the square peg into the round hole. You know, it's like, but he's cute. But, you know, on my list, it's like, that's a huge deal breaker. Why am I still seeing that person? That's one of my deal breakers. Why? You know, here's my age. You know, I kind of broke it down into my primary, secondary, tertiary, you know, like I would in business. You don't always get all the things on your A list, but if you can find some of those A qualities and some B's, you know, you're not going to do a deal breaker. And you still pursue because you're like, but he's cute, but he's so nice. But I'm lonely, you know, I'm lonely, and, you know, I just want companionship or something. But it's like, what is your long-term goal? You're losing sight of it. You know?
That's so true.
But cut bait and move on.
Yeah, exactly. So a couple of questions before I kind of wrap up. What are your top 3 tips maybe for a woman who finds herself back in the dating scene after not being there for several years?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think, you know, going through my workbook, and you had an opportunity to look at it. To me, I think if you can hone it down, focus, you know, you're going to save yourself a lot of time, money, energy, emotion, all of those things. So I really think spending some time by yourself, thinking about yourself, you know, I even put in the workbook, like, what does your hair look like? Do you still look like you're from 1980 and, you got the big hair out to here and the bangs up to the hair? I mean, you want somebody a certain way. They're going to want you a certain way.
Yeah. True.
Yeah. And I do think that if you were to figure out like what you're looking for and can really articulate it to your friends and family, I love having referrals. So to speak, it really does work if you are succinct and you are, like I said, you can articulate like, this is the kind of person I'm looking for. And even if they go, well, this person, no, that's a deal breaker thing that they do. So, and the online, if you've got to be good at vetting, you've got to be good at interviewing, you've got to be good with the written word. Because as we all know, in texts and emails and things like that, things can be misconstrued. And I think that people try to have friendly banter. Yep. And I see this on some of the dating people that I follow on like Instagram or things like that. And they'll say, oh, this guy just said this. And everybody's like, drop him, dump him. And I sit there and go, I think he was trying to be fun, so try not to be so judgy of people, but if something hits you wrong or something, either try to clarify it. Don't jump to conclusions because it could be a really good person and they might just trying to be flirty or something like that. But I do think figuring yourself out first and what you're looking for. Referrals are great. They're great in business. They're great with friendships and all of that. I mean, that's how you and I met the second time.
Right.
I had no idea what we had in common. And online, I would give it a go, but just know what your deal breakers are. Know if you don't want to move, don't date somebody 5 hours away. There's plane tickets.
That's great. Good advice.
All kinds of things that can be involved too. So
all great advice, Laura. I love that. What have you, and since you've written this book, I'm curious, what have you learned about yourself in writing this book?
Well, it's kind of interesting that you say that. I said, I thought that this stuff was a lot funnier. And I don't know whether it really came across as funny as I don't know. Thought. Maybe it's my personality. Maybe I need to voice my own audio book or something. Because I'm funny. Like, this was kind of sad, Laura, come on. I had some great relationships in the middle of this 20 years, a relationship that would last 2 years or 3 years or something like that. But I will tell you, a good friend of mine told me a long time ago, you have to be with somebody for 4 seasons. You have to be with somebody for a year at least, because you can see them through all the seasons. And it's not just literally, it's like metaphorically. So you can see the changing. And when you're dating somebody, everybody's on their best behavior for the first few months. And then you start to get into the real life,
Right.
So I would encourage people to think about that. And one other good thing, I always said 2 years out. Now there are exceptions, but somebody who's been divorced for under 2 years, they're in the same flailing in the pool like the rest of us typically. They don't know where they're at. They're trying to get through all of that. I mean, it's like, grieving and a death, and then you're trying to get your feet under you and, start to tread water again. And it's like, I mean, I could sit here and talk to you for days, but.
No, that's amazing. No, that's great. Great advice. I love it. Such good wisdom. So my last couple of questions that I ask all my guests. Tell me 3 words that best describe who you really and truly are.
I would say I'm passionate. I'm empathetic and I'm silly. I can't help it. I'm just silly.
I love it. I love it. Those are great. I can definitely see all of those. No, that's awesome.
Well, thank you.
That's awesome.
Especially the silly.
I love it. We need more of that in our lives. Tell me one thing that you are currently working on. on yourself, or it could be like a project, or it could be.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out my next play in life, you know. I'm in my 50s. I've owned my marketing firm for 25 years. I'm kind of dipping my toe in over here to the writing, and you know, where is that going to take me? And I just feel like there's this group of such intelligent, vibrant women who are in like their 40s and 50s, and their kids are starting to get older and they're out of the house. And, you know, maybe our financial situations have changed a little bit and we're not paying for college anymore and things. And so you're like, who am I? And who do I want to be when I grow up? As cliche as that sounds, you know? So I'm really working through, what does that look like? What does my next act look like? So that's what I'm working on.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You'll figure it out too.
I hope so.
You
Otherwise
will.
it's going to be some martinis. So, you know,
hilarious.
I'll figure it out.
It's so funny. Tell me one thing you're proud of yourself for being or doing.
You know, again, I feel like this is such an A-type personality, female, us women who are, you know, high achievers or think we should be, you know, it's like, I'm never proud of myself, no matter what I do. It's like, okay, I did this. It's next. What's next? What's next? What's next? But I have to say, and I hope I don't cry right now, but I was talking to my son and I said to him, and he's going to be 25. And we were talking about the book and everything. And he goes, Mom, he said, you've been talking about this book forever. He said, who cares what happens with it? You know, he goes, at least you wrote the book.
Yep.
And I'm like, sorry. I'm like, where did this kid come from? You know, so I need to be proud, no matter how it's received out in the world. I need to be proud of myself for writing it and getting it done. And, you know, and I'm in the old lady home and I can't sit there and go, I wish I would have wrote that darn book, darn it.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right, Laura. You should be so proud. You should be so proud. It's going to really impact, and I think it helps so many. And I think you bring up such a good point, because I think that's something that I try and touch on a lot on here, is kind of listening to your intuition and not stuffing that, but realizing that there's value and things that we're all meant to do. And so many times we do get that to that point where we're like, oh, I just wish I would have blah, 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 blah. And I felt the same way, you know, about a lot of things in my life. Like, I don't want to get, you know, to a certain point and be like, I never did this, but this is what I really wanted to do. And I mean, I think that's super admirable that you just were like, no, I'm doing this. I have something to say. I have a voice. It needs to be heard. My message needs to be heard. I think it's going to be, you know, amazing. And like you said, I mean, I think we've kind of talked about this when we were together. I feel, you know, a lot of times what we put out into the world isn't meant for everybody, but the people who it is meant for, the people who are meant to hear it and we feel like it resonates, you know, it'll land there. And the others, it's okay.
Yeah.
So awesome. Awesome work. I am so excited to help you promote this. I know you guys, when you hear this, that her book won't be out yet, but I will provide that link when it does come out into the show notes, but you can always follow her obviously on social media, and I'm sure get updates on when everything is going to be released. So exciting. Thank you so much, Laura. Thank you so much for having me on. Of course.
I appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you again soon.
I know. Me too.
Take care.